This is BTV Business Television. Discover companies to invest in.
This week, we're all in on gold companies. All of them hard at work, creating value in their projects.
Hello, I'm Taylor Tone.
And I'm Jessica Katrachak. Welcome to BTV Business Television.
On this episode, as gold continues to trend upwards, we'll have a look at a wide range of exploration companies in various locations.
But first, we're going to check in on a gold exploration company that's very recently become a production company.
They certainly have. You know, in the life of a gold project, there are many important milestones along the way, but one of them is more memorable than the rest. We've been following this company for over a decade, and we're excited to share a very special golden moment with you. In September of 2016, Victoria Gold in Canada's Yukon had received all major permits to develop its Eagle Gold project. After much blood, sweat, and tears, they had completed construction on the project, and the company has now reached a major milestone, pouring their first bar of gold. A tremendous accomplishment for the entire team. The inaugural gold bar was poured by Sandy Silver, the Yukon's current premier, and weighed in at 1,001 ounces of gold. With this achievement now behind them, Victoria Gold is ramping up production, having crushed 1.1 million tons of ore and delivering a shipment to the Royal Canadian Mint for refining this fall. The current approximate value of that shipment is over $3 million, a testament to all the hard work from the team at Victoria Gold.
We see gold, holding north of $1,400 as very positive for the sector. But what we do need to see is a value creation from mining companies, whether companies are explorers, whether they're developers, whether they're producers. It's got to be delivered through discovery. It's got to be delivered through meeting expectations as far as operations and also M&A.
What does it take for a company to grow from a market valuation of about $800,000 to nearly $250 million in less than 2 years? 3 words: high-grade gold. Great Bear Resources has made a series of high-grade gold discoveries, and they've barely had to pull off their local highway to do it. How much gold their Dixie project near Red Lake, Ontario really contains remains to be seen. Gold pundit Eric Coffin is watching closely.
Great Bear is a company that's done a really amazing job, actually. I looked at it several times over the course of a year, and although I was impressed with some of their past drilling, one issue that a lot of projects in Red Lake have had in the past is continuity. High grades, but do the dots connect? I wasn't really that sure they did until Bob Singh, the VP Exploration, did a fabulous job of taking all their historic drill holes, correcting them because most of them were actually in the wrong place on the map, rebuilding a 3D model. When he showed me that and I could see it hung together, I was sold on it then.
Gold was originally discovered on the Dixie property by Teck Resources in the 1980s. Though a number of explorers have worked the property over the years, the main high-grade gold discoveries have been made by Great Bear since only 2017. President and CEO Chris Taylor explains why he believes Great Bear has been successful.
Great Bear has a science-first approach to exploration, so instead of trying to cut corners and work with limited data, we throw the scientific book at the project before we go and drill. What this means is that although it's more expensive than some companies to drill on a per meter basis, you end up generating a series of successful discoveries, and that's where the real value comes in for shareholders. And when I say more expensive, we're still one of the cheapest per meter drill costs in the industry because of the access and infrastructure that we benefit from.
Comparisons to other discoveries is par for the course in the mining industry, and the Dixie project is already being compared very favorably to a couple major ones from the past.
There are two types of gold systems on the Dixie project. The first type is very similar to Newmont Gold Corp's Red Lake Gold Mine, and in particular, the high-grade zone. The other deposit type, which sits about 2 kilometers away from that zone, is very similar to a famous discovery in Canadian history called the Hemlo deposit. If you look at the Hemlo background, you can see there's a high degree of shearing. You can see where the gold zones are developed.
Great Bear is currently over 3/4 of the way through a 90,000-meter drill program. 3 drills are producing 400 meters of core a day and a steady stream of positive results.
People ask me about the discovery potential for the Dixie project, and in many ways I feel like a passenger who's just got on a big train that's now accelerating out of the station. So this is very much a situation for us where the more work we do, the more zones we find, and the more exciting the project becomes. So I can't tell you how many zones we ultimately will find on the property or when that process of discovery is going to be complete, but with only 10% of the project explored so far, I would say that you're looking at a district scale project with multiple high-grade gold zones, and it's really very early days for this process.
30 years of previous exploration never found what Great Bear has been discovering in the last few years. The significance of his team's results are not lost on Chris Taylor.
In some ways, one of the most exciting things about being involved in Great Bear is that it's like being a kid on Christmas morning. And this is something that repeats itself day after day, month after month, as we explore more and more of the project and we find more high-grade gold discoveries. It's not one discovery and it's not a single event. It's an ongoing series of discoveries that are driving that collective excitement.
One person who won't be surprised by more discoveries is Eric Coffin.
They've got basically 18 kilometers of target to drill. So I have no idea what this thing's going to end up as. Other than that, I'm pretty comfortable at this point it's going to be big.
Just how big? Well, sometime in 2020, after the current drill program has been completed and Great Bear comes out with a resource estimate, we'll have a much better idea.
Coming up next, persistence and experience in Western Australia.
There is a fundamental reason this gold is here, and I intend to figure it out.
And later, a longtime and successful gold explorer shares some timely advice.
The best time for you or anybody to get involved in the investment cycle is when nobody else wants to buy what you're buying.
We'll be right back. You're watching BTV.
Welcome back to BTV. When gold nuggets were discovered in various parts of the Pilbara region in northwestern Australia, some people dismissed it as a novelty, but not veteran gold explorer Quinton Henney. He staked his reputation on a hypothesis that he and Novo Resources have set out to prove. We caught up with him at the site of the company's latest exploration project, Egina.
Talking about gold in the Pilbara is my favorite topic. The reason I decided to work here in the Pilbara is that this is a very, very old piece of crust. This piece of crust dates back to early Earth history. It's similar age to the crust that's found in South Africa. In South Africa, we have a sedimentary basin with conglomerate layers that have gold. It's called the Witwatersrand Basin. It's produced nearly a third of all the gold ever produced here on Earth. So the hypothesis is this piece of crust here in the Pilbara was once connected to the crust in South Africa. So everything we see here in the Pilbara is represented in South Africa and vice versa. Well, that's why Novo is here. This is truly a new world-class discovery.
But unlike most gold deposits that usually contain flakes or fine particles of gold, the nuggety nature of the conglomerate gold in Pilbara means that the size and continuity of the resource can't always be defined using conventional exploration techniques.
There's 3 main projects. There's Beatons Creek, Egina and Comet Well. Beatons Creek is the most conventional of the 3 in that you can conventionally drill it and actually get results. You then need to bulk sample it to get a better idea of the grade because of the nuggety nature, but you can actually drill it and say there's the top of the ore body, there's the bottom, so you can grade control it conventionally.
Exploration at Beatons Creek began in 2011. Over the years, the results have confirmed the presence of a sizable deposit.
We had to work through a lot of technical issues to evaluate the deposit and the coarse gold within that system. We've advanced that now to the point where we have a resource that in aggregate is 450,000 ounces inferred, 450,000 ounces indicated. It's been advanced at every single level. We actually just received recently our mining application approval, so we basically have the thing ready for development. I would say within the next few months to a year, we'll have a clear path of how Beaton's Creek will unfold and benefit Novo shareholders.
While conventional drilling was able to define the resource at Beaton's Creek, a more unconventional approach to exploration will reveal what Novo's dealing with at their other projects.
What people need to appreciate is when you're dealing with nuggety gold, it's an iterative process. So you can't know how big the sample needs to be until you've got some of the samples done. So for example, we now know that 5 tonnes at Comet Well was not enough. That once you understand the range of gold sizes, you can then apply geostatistics to tell you what size sample we need to take. With what we think we know about the nuggety nature of the gold here at Egina, the initial recommendation is to take 100-tonne samples. So if you can see behind me on the flats, we're digging panels of about 8 metres by 8 metres by about 1 metre deep. At the end of this process, once we take some samples, we'll learn about the gold deportment and the size, and then we can reset, and maybe it'll come back and say we need to take far bigger samples to get something representative.
As the bulk sampling progresses and the company gets a better understanding of the potential at Egina, Novo is in an enviable position, $30 million in the bank, and support from large companies like Sumitomo Corporation.
We're in an exceptional position. We don't have to go back to the market. We can hunker down, do the technical work, and focus on the price. Mother Nature didn't just do this by accident. There is a fundamental reason this gold is here, and I intend to figure it out.
Recent bulk sampling results at Egina continue to be very positive. Like Beaton's Creek, time will tell if Quinton Henney is right about the Pilbara. After all, he's been right before.
After the break, setting the stage for another big project in British Columbia's Golden Horseshoe.
We're looking towards building a multi-million ounce gold and silver deposit.
We'll be right back. You're watching BTV.
Welcome back to BTV. Volatility is something most of us shy away from. But if you want to succeed in the junior mining industry, you have to manage the volatility that comes with the territory. With 30 years in the business, Metals Group's CEO, John Williamson, has long believed that profiting from resource investment starts by recognizing the cyclical behavior of the resource market.
The resource cycle essentially works in 4 to 6 year periods between down troughs and up troughs. Between 2000 and 2011, we were in an up cycle or bull market for resources where everybody did well. I suggest that we are now at the end of the long down cycle, entering into an up cycle bull market. And to me, that's the best time for you or anybody to get involved in the investment cycle, is when nobody else wants to buy what you're buying.
With that in mind, Metals Group was started in 2017.
The 4 individuals that make up Metals Group have had a long history in the mining industry. We've had many, many successes, many companies that we've taken from grassroots up to production and been able to sell them off to juniors, mid-tiers, and majors.
The company's investment criteria is equally straightforward.
We look for projects that have scale, large land packages, good infrastructure, high grades of different metals, gold, silver, copper. We see a lot of projects, 50, 60 projects a year. And so one of the projects that was brought to us was the Lawyers Gold Project in the Toodoggone region of northwest BC.
The Lawyers Project is in the prolific mining area known as the Golden Horseshoe. Metals Group controls the company that's carrying out the exploration, Benchmark Metals.
Benchmark's a relatively new gold and silver explorer in northern British Columbia. It's a formerly producing mine with existing infrastructure. That allows us to advance the project much quicker towards a production scenario. We're working with historically some exceedingly good gold and silver results. We've just completed our second large drill campaign. We're looking towards building a multi-million ounce gold and silver deposit.
What we liked about that project was, number one, it had a history of past production, 170,000 ounces and about 4 million ounces of silver over a few-year period back in the late 80s and early 90s. But more importantly than that, it had 127 square kilometers of ground, which gives you the opportunity of, again, size and scale.
Since 2018, there's been almost 16,000 meters of drilling at the Lawyers Project. The results already look promising.
Our grades are phenomenally high. Higher grade obviously makes your margins much better once you get into a mining situation. We have a large drill plan for 2020 that will encompass about 25,000 meters.
By the time we get to the 2020 program, we should be nearer to our target goal of close to 5 million gold equivalent ounces.
Which explains why Benchmark has attracted the attention of some prominent investors.
We're fully capitalized right through the end of 2020. We've just had a large Eric Sprott and Sprott Company investment, and there's no need for a Benchmark to go back to the market to raise more capital.
As far as Jim Gregg is concerned, this is definitely the right time for exploration.
We expect this is a new cycle for gold and silver. Gold currently has moved upwards of over $200 in the span of 1 year. It's still not even close to its former record from 2011.
Of course, there's never any guarantee. On the other hand, these guys have been right before.
Coming up next, another historic gold mine that appears to have a future.
It has several historic past-producing mines that have never seen any modern exploration.
We'll be right back. You're watching BTV.
Welcome back to BTV. Another historic gold mine looks like it's coming back to life. M3 Metals is rejuvenating the Mojave Mine Gold Project. Recently, they've started the ball rolling on permitting procedures for exploration and development on the mine.
At M3 Metals, we currently have 3 projects. We have our copper asset in British Columbia, we have our iron asset in Newfoundland and Labrador, and we have our new acquisition, the Mojave Mine Gold Project in Arizona. One of the more exciting areas, the southern half, it has several historic past-producing mines that have never seen any modern exploration. Surrounding those mines is about a 2x2 kilometer soil anomaly, and it's never been drill tested. For me as a geologist, it's very exciting. It's not too often that you can come into a project and look at a huge area of anomalous golden soils, above 0.5 grams per ton. We're not talking parts per billion. Significant amounts of gold in soil at surface that has never been followed up by modern exploration or drilling. The past explorers were all private companies. They were strictly focused on advancing the project through to production. They put approximately $12 million into the ground in development of a small historic resource that exists on the project because they saw that the economics were so good they could make money doing that. As a public company coming into this project, we know that we need to expand on that resource. We see that there's huge upside potential that we can go in and prove up a massive resource prior to going into production.
Up next is Avino Silver and Gold, a company that's been in the mining business for over half a century. Here's an update on their projects in British Columbia and Mexico.
Avino is in its 51st year since incorporation, and we've been in Mexico ever since. We've operated the mine there for 33 years. We have 350 people working for us full-time. 80% are local. We produce 2.7 million ounces of silver equivalent annually. We're very excited about the expansion that's been completed, and we have a new mine with higher grade material that will be processed there. We also have the Braylorn mine in BC. It's a famous mine, produced over 4 million ounces of gold from the Great Depression right up to the late 60s. We embarked on a 28,000 meter drill program last year. We're about 20,000 meters into it. We brought in 8 geologists, we brought in structural geologists, we've reinterpreted the land, and we're targeting new areas to make a major discovery. In Mexico, we're doing underground development drifting to this new area called the Hanging Wall Breccia Zone. It's got high-grade gold in there, so we're planning to monetize that before the end of the year. We're going to continue drilling at the Braylorn mine. We've got about 8,000 meters left to go this year. We've recently raised some flow-through money, and we plan to continue exploring next year.
And finally, a gold company that actively explores for opportunities, but not with a drill. Ely Gold Royalties is quite optimistic about how gold is trending.
Ely Gold Royalties is an emerging royalty company with a portfolio of 33 royalties, 3 of which are producing. We've been building a portfolio of royalties and properties, mainly in Nevada, for the past 3 years. Nevada has just been named the #1 mining jurisdiction in the world, and actually Nevada is the 4th largest gold producer in the world. We're seeing a renaissance in the gold market, a return of some of the traditional investors as well as a lot of new younger investors interested in gold. Ely Gold Royalties has really transformed in the last 12 months. From a project generator where we were generating royalties for the portfolio to where now we are purchasing royalties on existing producing mines. So we've just really broken into the royalty space. We've added 6 important properties to the portfolio, 3 of those producing royalties. Our focus over the next 12 months will be to add more producing royalties, while our existing properties will continue to generate royalties as those properties are sold. Relative to our peers in the junior mining sector who have market caps anywhere from $100 to $200 million, we're trading at a fraction of that. And we expect to be re-rated over the next 6 to 12 months.
Before we wrap up, some final thoughts from Eric Coffin.
What I'm looking for is a company that ideally has a new story, strong management, where the story has, at least until proven otherwise, enough scale potential that once they really start getting news out there, you're likely to start seeing anticipatory buying, especially in a bull market for the commodity. You got to be realistic if you're investing in this sector. I mean, there's no such thing as a low risk exploration stock. None of them are low risk, they're all high risk.
So with the odds against them, Jessica, why do you think these gold explorers keep exploring? How's your math?
It's all right, I guess. What did you have in mind?
Well, that first bar that Victoria Gold poured was 1,001 ounces. So with the price of gold over $1,400 an ounce,
yep, we're looking at approximately $2 million worth of gold.
And that's exactly why they keep exploring.
Thanks for joining us today. For BTV, I'm Jessica Katrachak.
And I'm Taylor Tone. Until next time, may your portfolio prosper.